everybody. Working on my next version of a face mask. Always forget something. They prefer 100% cotton. Preferably wash it in hot water first, dry it hot, and then after you make them, a lot of Bryan Hospital at least would like it washed again. That helps shrink the cotton, and then also helps get the sizing out, because that is probably not good for some people. So you start with a piece of fabric, actually at 44 inches wide fabric. And if you take your 7 inches this way, you can get 6 across with just a little bit left over. And then the 15 inches this way. So out of 3 yards, you can get 42 masks and then have a little slop room for self-ties. But if you want to try and be exact, 15 inches from here to here. So that's how much length you'd need. So if you want to do 12 of them, you'd need 30 inches. A little more than that's always good, because if something isn't cut right. But so you have 7 inches this way and 15 inches this way. Fold it in half. I have the marks already. You take a ruler, line these up, take a ruler, measure 1.5 inches from here to here. Measure 1.5 inches from here to here. Make a little pencil mark. Doesn't matter what you use, because they're going to be hidden anyway. Just make them small, obviously. Go to your machine. So approximately 3/8 of an inch from here to your first mark. Backstitch both places. Stop. Take your fabric out. Restart here. Do your about 3/8 of an inch seam. Backstitch here. This is potentially going to have more stress in some places. And then stitch all the way down here and backstitch. So that will leave a little pocket right here. Okay, here's your circle. Take it to your ironing board. Press this open. If you don't have an ironing board, you can finger press this. And then you'll want to stitch down both sides of this, not double. Don't want this in there. But stitch down here, over here, and over here. Now to do that, you're going to have to scooch this out of the way. You only want your one piece of fabric, not this whole thing. So start here. And this isn't nearly as hard when you're on the machine as it is trying to show you. Stitch it all the way down. Turn around. And then come back this way. So both of these will be, all of this will be stitched down now. Okay, you need approximately a 1/2 inch from the, oops, wrong way. Wondered what was wrong with that. You need approximately a 1/2 inch from the seam allowance, and then you want to put a mark there, and you want to, or just fold it so to be like this. You take about a 1/2 inch from here to here, fold it. That makes a little pocket. Now it's time to put in your ties. I have ribbon. I've learned since I cut this, not the best thing to use. Use self fabric. I'm trying bias tape. I used 1/4 inch and sewed it down. You have to be careful with bias tape, because when you stretch it, or when you pull on it, it stretches. And if your thread is old, or you don't have a good stitch, it's going to break the threads. So you'll have to test that and see how that works for you. Otherwise, you can do self ties. Out of the 3 yards that you get, there should be enough left over for some self ties, for plenty of self ties, I would think. I haven't tested that one yet. So now that you've got it folded here, you want to take your ties and Put it as close to the top as you can. I don't pin much, but this is a place to pin, and pin this little guy down. I pull him through this opening because it doesn't have the bulk then of all of them being in here and then making sure you don't catch them where you don't want to catch them. So put this guy in the bottom and as close as you can and pin him down. Stitch, again, you're about 3/8 inch from here down to here. When you're starting, make sure you go over the tie several times so it's good and secure, and then again down here. Go to your other side, do the same thing. Put a tie up here next to the top, 18 inches, don't think I said that, 18 inch for each tie, so it takes a lot, but it's used up when you're going around the head. So put it up here, put one down here in the bottom, use your 3/8 inch, and back stitch up here, make sure it's secure again down here, all the way down. Okay, so you have something that looks like this. Yes, I'm homesick. You have something that looks like this with your tie sticking out here. Makes it real easy to turn because with these ties, it pulls out your corners just perfectly. You don't have to get in there and pull them out. Take this back to your ironing board and press this down. Make sure your seam allowances are like nicely out. If you're going to use a wire tie or a twist tie for your nose, now's the time. Put it in here. You need approximately the 5 inches. The 5 inches, not the really short ones. Scooch it up here as high as possible and then go straight across here. Make sure you don't hit the wire. So about a 1/4 inch away. That'll get your wire tie in. If you're not going to put the tie in, my opinion, at least right now, is just press this well and leave it unstitched. I think if you stitch it on top and decide later to put a wire tie in or tie in, I think you can still do it. It just doesn't have as much room. So if you don't stitch it, if you just press it, you can always go in later and put that wire tie in or the twist tie in. Again, don't use ribbon. This is bias tape that I just sewed in half, and I got a good stitch, so it's not breaking the thread. So I've done some with two pleats and 3 pleats. If you're doing 2 pleats, you want to go 1 3/4, 1, 2, and 1. And that will give you 2 pleats. I really don't know, still working on which is better. If you want to go 3 pleats, it's 1 5/8, 3/4, 1 1/2, 3/4, and 1. And that'll give you 3 pleats. Now here's the time when you sew around the whole thing. Get this pinned down. Start at the top. Oh, you want to make sure these aren't overlapped. You don't want all that bulk. So you want them to nest nicely and even. And then when you, now this one I think I started to stitch down beforehand. Decided you really don't need to do that. Now's the time to stitch it all. That was just an extra step. Start here, stitch down all the way, stitch here, close, very close to the edge, and then get this one all the way to the top. And you end up with one that's done. This goes around the nose if you have one of those. If you don't, I think it'll still work. Here's your pocket. So if you want to put a filter in, I've heard anything from dried up Lysol sheets to some sort of high-end furnace filter that people take apart and put in. These are not made to keep out anything horrible. They're made more to keep your hands away from your face, and they're better than nothing. So don't figure that they are the end all to anything, because they're not. They will just help you. And sorry, I got that one really uneven. So I think I remembered everything this time. Thank you very much to everybody that's doing this. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me.